Welcome back, Sheffield Shuffler and Lost in the Shuffle fans. It is episode 55. It is July 5th, day after Independence Day. It's Pete and John, as always. Looks like we got a haircut, John.
We did get a haircut.
Looks good.
It's incredibly hot out, and I thought I'd do the do. Also, my last, very sad, we're moving to the suburbs, and this is the last haircut I had with my stylist in the city. So
Sure.
I've been with her for several years, so it was a heartfelt goodbye, and I will miss her, and I will miss her nice stylings, although I haven't really done my hair yet, but yeah.
Yeah, I know how that is, John. My father's a barber, so he has cut my hair my entire life.
There's an attachment there. You spent a lot of time there. She knows a lot about my life.
And if you take not like I take it seriously, but like when I get a haircut, I feel like a new man. I feel 20 pounds lighter. I feel much more attractive.
I always feel like my face is thinner, which is insane, but I think it every time I'm like, man, I look good.
It's an optical illusion. Yeah, it is, dude. When you get a haircut, if you don't feel like a better person, you have the wrong barber.
That's true.
So I definitely can relate to it. Looks good. Enjoy it while it lasts.
Thank you.
Happy July 5th. We had 4th of July weekend. People were off yesterday. So how did you celebrate 4th of July, John? What did you guys do?
We went to my parents' house in the upper Chicago suburbs. They have a pool, which was awesome, although it fucking thunderstormed. So we were all inside. But eventually it got nice out, and we just, drank some beer, grilled, did your, garden variety thing. Brought the kid in the pool, messed around with some floaties. It was great. Some of my nephews shot off some fireworks before 8 p.m.
Everyone has their fingers still?
All intact. Yeah, absolutely. My dad's weird about it because he has a cousin who blew like 3 of his 5 fingers off.
Jason Pierre-Paul?
Yeah, so he just doesn't like his name
traumatized.
What's his name? His name is Michael.
Mm-hmm.
But he has several cousins with Peter, Paul, Vincent, we have an Uncle Vin,
obviously
Uncle Ange. Who else do we have? Uncle Chico.
You got all the Italian names covered.
100%, dude. Do you know?
And the girls, you got Maria.
So my full name is John. If you and I look so Italian, it's like it's aggressive. We are aggressively Italian, both of us. And my name is John Vito LaLoggia, and my mom wanted to name me Anthony. So my name could have been Tony Vito LaLoggia. My dad is like, that is so aggressively Italian. We cannot do that. Let's find a nice, biblical name. And so he went with John.
Absolutely. My parents as well. We're going to name my middle name Vincent and call me Vinny Vitale. Tell me that's not the coolest name.
Vinny Vitale and Tony LaLoggia. Dude, oh my God. That could have been, those could have been the true hosts of this podcast.
We got to see if those handles are available because we might have to rebrand.
Vinny Vitale and Tony LaLoggia. Jesus Christ.
Tony Vito. I like Tony Vito too.
Tony Vito is amazing. What does Vitale mean in Italian?
I believe,
Yeah,
I don't have it off the top of my head. I know we had like the family crest and it gives like the whole backstory and stuff like that. But Vitale is a very common Italian name, actually. There's a lot of people in New York who have that same last name. And obviously in Italy, we had cousins and family that went to Italy. There was churches like Chapel de Vitale or whatever it is. My nanny went to Italy. She had to change her last name because there was mafioso attachment to it. So for her safety, she had to change her last name for the time being.
Yeah. My wife's grandma, it was like she has a diamond stone, and she gave that stone to me to give my wife for her engagement. So it was great. I got off pretty nice. I bought just a band, and it was my wife's grandma's stone. And I talked to her about like, oh, where'd you get this? Where'd you get this insured? And she was like, it fell off a truck, if you know what I mean. I was like, yeah, of course it did. She goes, I don't remember where I got it. She goes, but there's no record of purchase, no insurance. She goes, just take it. She goes, it's real, I think. So,
well, that's all that matters. They're still with us, right?
Pretty much. Yep.
John, I did want to play a quick game, a little bit here. called Villain of the Week. It's a new week. Obviously, it's Tuesday, beginning of the week-ish. We're just going to do Villain of the Week. It was 4th of July weekend. So one of my villains of the week is post 12 o'clock midnight firework guy. So I think it's pretty understandable. 4th of July, everything's good. Blow off fireworks, that's great. There is a time limit, though. I think that is the courteous thing to do. After 12 o'clock, we shouldn't be launching mortars off, guys. Okay? So, let's just try to remember that every year. Some of us got dogs. I don't know if anybody's got a dog during the 4th of July, but they call it K911 because it's really loud and it hurts their ears. So that's my villain of the week. Take notice.
My villain of the week, definitely that. So one, our dog was freaking out because of the late night fireworks. Also, my son was trying to sleep last night. And dude, they were so loud. They were shaking. I'm at my parents' house right now. They were shaking my parents' house. They were so loud. I'm talking like M88s and M80s in the freaking street, dude. Like
the good stuff.
Just chucking them. Also, what age did we become old? Like maybe a few years ago, we would have been doing such hijinks with our friends.
Sure.
And like all of a sudden, not only am I not cool with it, I dislike it with a passion, and I almost frankly hate the people and the kids that are doing it. Mm-hmm. When did that happen? That happened quick.
At the same time, you lose your happiness. Why everybody's so upset nowadays. You kind of have that joyful, jovial sense of holidays when you're a little kid, and then eventually it grows out, and Christmas is just another day. I think that's the same thing with this holiday. It's like we played with the fireworks, and just like everything else, it just gets old. And then the magic comes back when you have children. So when your child is of age and he's got the sparklers and stuff, I think that's where you'll recapture some of that magic of the holidays, something like that.
There was a great line. I don't know if you like It's Always Sunny in Philadelphia, but I think it was in season 2. It was an underage drinking episode where they need to make money. So they open the bar to high schoolers to get more money. And they basically have prom there. And there's a line that I've never forgotten where they're looking around at these kids and they're just like, my God, like, oh man, they barely drank anymore. Like, why are they so excited? And, and Mac goes, hey, they're young. They don't know how much life sucks yet. And I was like, oh my God, that is so fucking true. Yeah. They're like, they're young. They don't know how much life sucks yet.
Well, you don't have a worry in the world. You don't have bills. You don't have as much responsibility.
You have virtually no responsibility. I think like high school, I think you have less responsibility in college versus high school. And here's what I'll say. Like high school, you still have to worry about your parents because you live there. So you do have to adhere kind of to certain curfew standards, rules. In college, now you have not only alcohol, you have an abundance of alcohol.
No supervision.
Absolutely no supervision. And so that's like college is, I think, worse than high school sometimes. Where you're just like, okay, like I literally can do anything I want and have virtually no real consequences.
Right. Besides, if you're breaking the law, things like that.
That's it. Just don't public property. Like you can do almost anything, but just don't. Once you damage someone's public property, like private property, like then you're fucked. Like do whatever you can. Just don't ruin people's mailboxes or yards.
Yeah, kids, just so you know, that is a federal offense because mail goes in that mailbox. Federal offense if you're messing with someone's mailbox. Keep that in mind.
They'll get you for that.
They'll get you. You're better off smashing a front window. I'm not endorsing that, but I'm saying it in as far as the legality of the law. That's how it goes.
Pete, do you have any experience with hijinks on 4th of July or anything like that?
Oh, I do. And I don't know what the statute of limitations are.
Well, we don't want to get you in trouble. I really don't. I'm a pretty boring kid as far as 4th of July.
No, I was quite devious, especially with fireworks. My father loved to purchase them. We went to Phantom Fireworks in Indiana, and he would just drop a boatload on them. So
that's where the best fireworks are. You have to go to Indiana or Wisconsin, right?
Yes, and we would have an abundance of them and leftovers, and we would save them. We get the baseball bats out in the summer, start hitting them. My brother actually set the neighbor's lawn on fire. It was so hot, and we were about to go to Rib Fest, and it was so hot, and it hadn't rained in days, and the grass has got that like crispiness to it. My brother's launching up cat fingers or whatever, hitting them with baseball bats into the guy's lawn. Woof! Brush fire, dude. The thing went up in smoke. He was taking 2 liters of orange soda out there. Help, help. It was madness. Fire trucks came. So that was one thing.
We used to play, remember the Assault for American Gladiators?
The Assault.
Remember the show American Gladiators?
Yes.
They used to do an event called the Assault where you have to shoot. The gladiator would be on this perch and they have a target behind him and they'd be shooting the challenger with like a bunch of tennis, like high wire, like powerful tennis balls. And they'd have to go from station to station, shoot using different guns trying to shoot. Correct. We did that one year, but we did it with Roman candles.
Oh,
it was insane.
Yeah, no eye protection either. Thing I did. Okay. Well, John, did you watch Stranger Things by chance?
We finished it.
Okay, so awesome. Do we. So spoilers, if anyone's listening, we are going to talk about it briefly. A character I couldn't stand, John, Argyle. The dude with the long hair, the pizza guy.
Oh, the guy for just like comic relief?
So obnoxious, dude. I mean, he wasn't funny. He was just kind of really obnoxious. He was just like over playing the stoner, right? Like, we get it, dude. You're a stoner. It was just a little bit too much, in my opinion.
Agreed. Also, like, not really a big character in the 80s. Like, okay, like in the 60s, 70s, I'm buying that. Sure. But in the 80s, it seemed out of place. It also seemed forced. And also, like, really, like, we get this as a tense show. Oh, we're going to bring this guy for a little comic relief. Oh, but he's an idiot. But, oh, of course, he's going to be the person who's going to discover, like, the tracks that lead to the underground bunker. It seemed very forced, and it wasn't even like enough for me to get mad at. It was more of like annoying. I'm like, okay, like I got it.
Yes.
But overall, by the way, I was watching this with the assumption that this was the final season. So after it ended, my wife and I looked it up. We're like, oh, there's one more season, obviously, because there was no resolution. Yeah. Awesome. The Demogorgons in the Russian prison were incredible. Hop is phenomenal. Like 11 Millie Bobby Brown is great, and David Harbour is fucking awesome. Is Hop probably my favorite character? I think.
Yeah. Just kind of, I didn't understand how he was like my daughter Elle, and then like I understand he took her under his wing. She kind of hung out in his cabin while people are looking for her stuff, but it's kind of like you're not her dad, really. I mean, you're not even a guardian. You're kind of just like, you know what I mean?
Yeah. For a second, I was about to lose my fucking mind because I was like, if Max doesn't die, this is complete bullshit. Like, she eventually, spoiler alert, she eventually dies, but I'm like, well, wait, no. Elle brings her back to life, right?
Well, she's in the hospital. Elle entered her mind, remember? And there was nothing there.
Yes.
There's nothing there. It's all black. And previously they said Vecna, when he kills somebody, he absorbs all of them, whatever's in their mind and all that stuff. So possibly foreshadowing, who knows? And this is where it kind of loses me. Like, I understand it's like a fictional
thing. It got a little crazy. It got a little
kind of too much. Are we in the mind? I know you're in the water and you're meditating, but you're in her mind, but you were dying. But then they woke you up. Are you still dead? You know what I mean? It's kind of like an inception. Like, where are we at right now?
Of course. But also, too, like, dude, he snapped her legs and wrists and her fucking eyes. Like, she can't survive that. Like, I know Elle has amazing powers, but Elle has strong powers, but Elle does not and should not have the power to bring back someone from the dead. Then we're like entering like real fantasy crazy shit. I know this is crazy, but like, you can't bring someone back from the dead. I feel like that's when you lose me. So like, I was like, Max, she's a casualty. She's going to have to die. Vecna's a bad dude. Like, it's unfortunate, but it has to happen. If she survives, like, what the fuck? I can't buy that.
Plus, she sucked anyway, so she could die on my watch.
She sucked definitely in the beginning of the show. I'm like, can she die already? Yeah. And then later on, I was like, okay, her brother Billy, like, it's rough. So I had a little bit of sympathy, but I definitely wanted her to die early on.
Same. Argyle can die. Max can die. I think that's pretty much on my death list who I hope would die in that show.
Billy the freak long haired guy, or what was his name? Not Billy. What was his name?
Yeah, I
The
forgot
guy.
his name.
Yeah,
Who played the sweet song, the Metallica song.
He was awesome, but
Yeah.
why he made such a dumb decision to prove that he wasn't a coward. Like, I was like, why did he just run like by himself out on the bike?
Sure.
That was so ill-advised. And when he died, I was like, yes, I'm sad, but dude, like, not a smart move. Like,
Right.
totally could have been avoided.
Yeah, it's almost like the Dark Knight, if you think about it. Remember the Dark Knight? He has to be painted as the bad guy. We need to blame Harvey Dent's death on the Dark Knight, even though he didn't do it. Just like this guy died, and everyone thinks, oh, he's a murderer, blah, blah, blah. But the real people know he was a hero.
Dustin cleared that up.
Dustin, man, he acted pretty well too, dude. A lot of good tears, very emotional. Kid's a good actor.
He's a good actor. Millie Bobby Brown's a good actor. He's a good actor. Some are not. Like Finn Wolfhard or whatever, who plays Mike, dude, not a good actor. And the guy who plays Will Byers is so bad at acting. I think he's terrible.
Worse? What's worse, his haircut or his acting?
Dude, it's close. He's such a bad actor. Also, no one cares that you're gay. Like,
okay, that's what I want to talk
but
about.
Also,
How
too,
many?
Like, it's fine, and I know it's difficult for him, but like, let's get to it. Like, we're really drawing. Like, I feel like I feel like Robin's character, like, she's a lesbian, but so what? She's like, we're actually seeing it in action, but they're drawing out Will's being in the closet for so long. It's like, okay, so he's gay. Like, well, let's see an interaction. Let's see something. That, you know, but like he keeps talking about it, but nothing's happening. At least with Robin, you're getting really interesting scenes from that girl in her choir or a music class. Like those scenes were great at the end. Like that was awesome. The peanut butter and jelly.
Because he's in love with his best friend. So I think that's the element that makes it very difficult, right?
So he wants Mike.
I mean, that's what it sounded like, right? I mean, he painted him a picture. You're the heart. You always are the fighter. Like, he's like, love it.
So I think we should have seen that already, right? It was like all season. Something have been like, Mike either says, I know, and it's fine, or some acknowledgement, because his internal struggle with this, and they never get to it. Like,
it's more awkward
out over a whole season. I know a lot's going on, but my God.
It's more awkward when it's not, when it's just subtle hints, right? It's kind of just like, oh, that was kind of, you know,
yeah, but
his turning and crying, and it's like, dude, just say something.
Well, not only say something, but like the writers of the show, like, make something happen. Like they did that with Robin. They made something happen. Like, and
grab his butt.
And it was interesting, and it was gratifying and funny and heartfelt to watch. But this, I'm like, my God, like either Mike, tell him it's fine, or something happened. Like, I can't watch any more of this. It's just become like not interesting.
Yeah. It's okay, guys. Just tell Mike you love him. John.
It's my dad. I told him yesterday.
Yes. Moving into sports, John, we saw our first 8-5 triple play between the White Sox and the Twins. John, did the White Sox just forget how to play baseball and tag up on the bases, or what?
Dude, I was watching this live. So Buxton goes to center field on an 0-2 pitch off of AJ Pollock. He hits it to center, and no one tags up. So the throw goes. So he makes a catch. Throw goes back into second. They tag out Yoan Moncada, and then throw to first base to complete the triple play. So they completely screw themselves out of a huge opportunity. Spoiler alert, they're chasing the Twins in the AL Central. I'm watching the clip right now if you want to pull it up. But the funnier thing was Steve Stone, because I was watching it live, and Steve Stone's very like nice and PC about his criticism towards the White Sox because it's his employer.
Right.
And even him, like Jason Benetti, their play-by-play guy, was like, this is fucking like, how does this happen? And Stone was like, you will never see that again ever in your life. And then even on Twitter, someone asked him about it, and he was like, that was one of the worst plays I've ever seen.
Tony La Russa was baffled. Did you see his face?
La Russa was baffled. Later in the game, gets thrown out, I think, for arguing balls and strikes, which by Tony getting thrown out of a game means walking out of the dugout, which takes about, 25 minutes for him to get out there. And he's so tired, he can only say 4 or 5 words, and then he just turned around and went in the dugout. Not before sneaking in one more pitch. He didn't leave right away. He snuck in one more pitch, and then he left. So this is just a microcosm of how the White Sox has played all year. Though they're poor base running in lack, and they just lack attention to detail. And so much of it is on the manager. This is not a fun place to play. He takes the fun out of so much takes so much fun out of the clubhouse and out of the game of baseball in general. I don't think they like him. I don't think they enjoy playing for him. None of them look like they're having fun. And things like base running and mental mistakes,
sure,
you can put that on a manager. You can put that on a coaching staff. You can put that on how that coaching staff and how that manager runs things. And it starts
discipline and focus, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
Those are things that you could control.
How
many outs are there?
Strikeouts happen. These things happen. But this has happened so many times where them running themselves out of innings and making mental mistakes. I mean, it's so embarrassing, but it doesn't matter because the owner hired him directly, and the only person that can fire him is the owner, and the owner is the one who hired him. So he's not going anywhere. But I feel bad for White Sox fans because it's so frustrating. This was their window for the possible World Series contender, and they're doing shit like this, which is embarrassing and has almost never happened before. It's just, it's terrible to watch.
Yeah, Twins are going to take that division, I believe, just the play that you can tell. I mean, Twins are hitting, White Sox are not hitting, especially against right-handed pitching.
It's amazing how good Byron Buxton is when he's healthy. It's scary good.
Yeah.
I mean, there's so many front office guys I've listened to podcasts on. Derek Falvey with the Twins. I'm sure I've mentioned this before, but they're like, "What's all of your years in baseball, going back to the, Cape Cod League, which I think he worked in the East Coast," and he goes, "I know he's been hurt for years." He goes, "But Byron Buxton is the best baseball player I've ever seen." I listened to this in 2017, 2018. Mm-hmm. He goes, he's just has never been healthy to show it, but he is the most talented player I've ever seen. And now we're seeing it. I mean, dude, he's getting sliders low and outside on the outer third, and he's hitting them over 400 feet to left center. I mean, it's ridiculous. You cannot get that dude out. If he stays healthy, there's no doubt the Twins are going to take that division and possibly be a strong contender in the playoffs.
John, the NL East is getting back Scherzer and DeGrom. You wanted to touch on winning attitude and experience matters.
Well, I think it's going to be huge. The fact that they've been able to play as well as they have played is incredible. Also, I don't know if you caught DeGrom. It was so funny, how good major league pitchers are. He was pitching in the minor leagues, and they had a clip of him throwing a slider to this minor league hitter. And it was a joke. Not only was the hitter completely overmatched, but the catcher, it looked so awkward the way the catcher caught it. He barely caught it, and he was also late. I've never experienced this type of velocity nor late movement in my life.
How he's tracking it.
Of course, just not prepared for that type of velocity and movement. So that was just fun to see. So can't wait for them to come back. I mean, DeGrom's throwing 100. Scherzer, I think, makes his start. Is it tonight or sometime this week, I believe? So that is something exciting to see. And then also college football or athletics, UCLA and USC join the Big Ten. It's a huge deal. Obviously, it means more money for the Big Ten. Also, it's hilarious because the Big Ten doesn't have 10 teams anymore, and now the Pac-12 won't have 12. Has anyone ever thought about renaming these conferences?
I don't think so.
I don't think so. But it's interesting because the Pac-10 historically sucks. And the only teams that people really care about in the Pac-10, I mean, sometimes if Oregon's good and they have to be really good, is USC and UCLA because they're obviously in Los Angeles, they're in big markets. But you really don't care about Washington State, Oregon State. No one really cares about any of those other teams. Also, they're on the West Coast, so they really don't get prime viewership.
Sure.
And so this is incredible for those two teams because now they're going to be in a conference in the Midwest where people love football. There's so many fans of the Big Ten and those teams, Michigan and Ohio State, obviously. And now they're going to be able to play more primetime games where the majority of the country is going to be able to watch them.
I will argue and say the advantage that they do have playing on the West Coast, as far as a betting standpoint, those are your bailout games. So you've been betting games all day. Games are at 11, 12 o'clock, and you're down. Usually the Hawaii games, those West Coast games, USC, they're come on a little bit later. So as far as a betting perspective, those are like your bailout games. I can't have a bad day today. I would like to see those numbers on how much more betting on those games are than other games. Just curious to think about.
No, 100%.
Also, John, do they know how cold it is in the Midwest? Are they aware?
They're about to find out. I love that so many of those people like wanted to go to. This is the thing with Notre Dame. Like I'm a Notre Dame fan, and you know historically they've gotten the best recruits. They've had this very Herald tradition and so many Heisman Trophy winners. But in the last like 15 to 20 years, they haven't gotten top recruits. Now, some people will say that's the rigorous academic standards that some of the other schools don't have. But what it really is too is I think younger people, millennials, Gen Z, I don't think they give a shit about history or whatever. I think they want to be in a fun place where it's fun to like a fun city. South Bend is not a fun place to hang out. They want to be in some place warm in a big metropolitan city. That's fun to be at. And ultimately, they want to win. And I think USC and UCLA are much more attractive places than some places in the Midwest, or they want to go play in the South, which is a better conference and better weather anyway. But I think it's hilarious that they went to these Pac-10 schools, probably a lot of them that were recruited away from these Big Ten schools, and now they're going to end up playing in, the big house in like November or Indiana, and it's going to be freezing. And they're not, and it is a huge difference maker too. Like a West Coast team coming to play like in October, November, it's way different.
Especially when you see the kids that they recruit, usually from that same kind of area as well. You're not drafting kids from Massachusetts to go play in Texas, or USC players coming from South Dakota. People who are used to that, so they're very used to that same kind of climate. Excited to see how that differs on the playing field. You come to play at Northwestern, right by the lake. Games are going to be 9 to 13, maybe. I don't know. So yeah, going to be interesting to see.
Definitely. We're talking 4th of July. I want to talk about the Nathan's hot dog contest.
Yes.
Okay. Our boy, Joey Chestnut. If you didn't see it, every 4th of July, they have a hot dog eating contest. Joey Chestnut, chomped his way to victory once again. A winning record, a record-winning 15th victory at the annual 4th of July competition by Nathan's Hot Dogs. 37-year-old downed 63 hot dogs and buns in 10 minutes. But a far cry from the record 76, which he devoured last year.
He was injured though.
What he hurt his foot? He was on crutches, right?
Yeah, he had a torn tendon in his foot.
So he was playing hurt. So this is like the Michael Jordan flu game for him
on a much bigger scale. Yes,
obviously. Dude, did you see? So another thing that I want to talk about, obviously him winning, not the biggest news because he's the GOAT. Probably used to be Kobayashi. I think we can say safely it's him. Did you send that link of that guy who crashed it?
Yes, I mean I did see it. I'm pulling it up here now, but he was attacked. Did you look into what that sign meant?
It was expose something.
Oh,
I think it
boy.
was exposed Death Star. This guy was wearing a Darth Vader mask, but
Yes.
Chestnut is just mowing down hot dogs, dipping them in water, and this guy like bum rushed the stage with like a Darth Vader mask and something say expose something Death Star, and then Chestnut gets him to a headlock immediately while he's still chewing food, and then the guy with like the straw hat comes in and just takes him down.
The guy with the straw hat, John, I am going to inquire if he can do my eulogy when I die, because he is one of the best MCs in the game. Would you
He's
agree?
great. He's really good.
Just absolute fireworks every time he gets on the mic. But yeah, Joey Chestnut does it all, man. Tore tendon in his foot, wins the competition, takes down an intruder, coming at someone trying to take his thunder. Nice little headlock there for him. Rear naked choke, doesn't really get his bicep under, doesn't really lock it in, but he doesn't have much time. He's working, so good on Joey Chestnut.
Pretty impressive. Playing hurt, wins the competition, knocks that dude out. Restrains him, I'll say.
Would you say that's one of the best, biggest feats? I saw that Rafael Nadal has won a major at one of these locations, and he's won like 14 or 15 times as well. People speaking disparagingly on Joey Chestnut, saying it's not that impressive just because he's eating hot dogs. But the talent gap, John, is so big. At the 3-minute mark, when 3 minutes has surpassed, I think he was 11 hot dogs ahead of the next guy. At 5 minutes, he was close to 20 hot dogs ahead of the next guy. So regardless if you want to say it's skill, talent, or he's not an athlete, you can argue he's not an athlete. That's fine. But the discrepancy between the talent between him and the entire field is incredibly large, and you can't discount that.
No, it is definitely a talent. I mean, there is a whole science and a method to how he does this. I watched his 30 for 30 on Joey Chestnut in the hot dog eating contest. He's not a big guy. Like guys, you would think a lot of large people would be really good at eating contests. Not the case. Like most of those people are somewhat slender, and there is a way that they digest and the way that they shove it down their throat and how quickly they can digest it and move it along and just get more hot dogs and buns down their gullet at a rapid pace. And it's like a process, and it's like there can't be any kinks or bumps in that process, and it has to go really smoothly, and he works on that. He works really hard.
The
Obviously, I was
expanding
like
of
that
the
too.
stomach, all the salad that they eat that really expands his stomach. So like you mentioned, the science behind it, there's a lot of stuff that they do to expand your stomach, and apparently salad is a great way to do that.
Yes. So that was phenomenal. The last thing I had, you talked about Stranger Things. I have a show for you that I binge watch that is so fucking good. I've literally, I think, told everyone to watch it over the holiday week. I know you're going to like it. Like, I know you, and I would be shocked if you didn't like it. Like, I'm going to say, I'm 98% sure you're going to like this show. It's called The Bear on Hulu. I don't want to give too much away. There's like 8 episodes. It dropped June 23rd. It's like a dark comedy. And it's this guy who takes over his family's like ramshackle Italian beef joint in Chicago. It's set in Chicago. It's filmed in Chicago. It's a very Chicago show. It's funny. It's heartfelt. It's so good. If you like, and it also depicts like how intense being a chef is, and how intense running a kitchen and dealing with the frenetic pace and unruly customers and a difficult, diverse staff. It's fucking awesome. It is such a good show. I want to talk about it more, but I don't want to give anything away. Definitely highly recommend The Bear. It's called The Bear on Hulu. Check it out. It's like 8 episodes. And then hopefully you watch it, and then we can talk about it next week.
Fair enough. Yeah, I do have Hulu, so I will check it out. I haven't seen any episodes, but yeah, it looks like Lip from Shameless, and he was, one of the better characters on that show.
He's the main character.
Mm-hmm.
He's awesome. This is a stud. Yeah. Yeah, man. Those were some of the things that that I kind of had for you.
I did want to talk about more 4th of July stuff. I just don't know if it's worth getting into. But yeah, just maybe just a footnote. If people want to celebrate the 4th of July, let them. There's I equated it to nobody's perfect. My family's not perfect. My friends aren't perfect. Some of them are, pretty messed up. But if it was their birthday, I'm still going to be there to support them and celebrate them because of all the great that they've done and how much they mean to me. So I do the same thing for 4th of July. I understand are things that are wrong with the country, and there's hopefully things that we're striving to fix, and it's not perfect at all. But when it comes down to it, it's a great place to live. There's a lot of opportunity, and if you don't take advantage of that, I think that's on you. There's a lot of bad things that are going on, obviously, but there's a lot of great stuff too that we are provided through just living here. And like, what's his name? What's the old guy? Creed from The Office. When they were having the lottery drawn in one of those episodes, he goes, "I already hit the lottery. I was born in the U.S. of A, baby." That's how I view it.
Yeah, man. I totally agree. I was so happy to like celebrate 4th of July and hanging out with family and fireworks and the stuff that I did with, as a kid, I want to eventually do with my son and my family and my nephews. And they had a blast shooting off fireworks and laughing. And it's great. We definitely should celebrate. We also shouldn't, we also should be cognizant of all the problems that we have in this country, but it doesn't mean we can't celebrate the country. And very, very fortunate to live in this country and have the freedoms to be able to say what we want and do for the most part what we want. And a lot of countries you don't have that, and it's a state-run government and you can't say certain things. And so very fortunate to live in this country. Also acknowledging we have problems that we need to fix and we need to work on, and not to lose sight of that but also, spending time with family and enjoying the 4th of July and fireworks, I think is totally fine. And I think is important to do. And you can still acknowledge the problems that we have and the issues that we need to work on and resolve. So
I think you get a bigger scope of the world and how things work when you travel, John. When you go to other countries, not necessarily in the United States, but when you travel outside of the country and you see some of these other countries, or if you just do research and you understand, oh, that's going on over there. Of course, it's not being covered in mainstream media, but if you're intelligent and kind of know what's going on, you can kind of see, wow, that's terrible, and we don't have that issue here.
Yeah, of course. Like we're very fortunate to live in this country for many reasons. And I think acknowledging that on the 4th of July is great. It's a reminder that that this is a great country and we have freedoms to be able to do and say a lot of things that a lot of other people in other countries don't. So we're very fortunate of that. Both things can be true. You can love this country and celebrate it, which you should. And you can also be highly critical of this country and the problems that they face. It's okay to do both. And it's also great to have the freedom to be able to say there's a lot of problems with this country that are glaring and in the news and are currently happening, and they're scaring a lot of people, and we need to fix those. So both things can be true. I feel like now it's like there can only be one thing, and that's not the case. This is a great country. We have our problems. Both things are true. So, and by celebrating the country isn't pushing those other things off to the side and saying that they're not important, And that's the issue I take. People being upset about celebrating the 4th of July. It's silly in my opinion, because it doesn't negate the things that you'd like to change about this country. It's, it's being grateful for the freedoms that we have and then also acknowledging that we have problems too that also need to be fixed. But it doesn't mean we shouldn't celebrate it.
And there are people like that. And that's, I think, what kind of grinds my gears and just why I wanted to touch on that, because some people, like you are a terrible person if you're celebrating, or you know, are blind, or blah, blah, blah. And like, I've seen some people, like, they literally sat at home like this. Like, I'm not doing it. It's like, all right, that's great. Like, you're just, you know, negative people. That kind of stuff just bothers me, especially when you're talking disparagingly about such a great country, a country that you could talk shit about and not be shot to death.
Yeah, absolutely. I was talking, I was talking to my wife about this because obviously there's been some, we have a child now, and, there's been some mass shootings. There was recently one in Highland Park and at Uvalde. And so we're just, sending our kid off to school. We're like, Jesus Christ, we're really worried about it. But there's so many problems and issues in the world. And I think what we can do, I was turning on local news the other day, like NBC5, and Allison Rosati is like the anchor on NBC5 Chicago. She's been the anchor for like 20 years. And she was reporting on a story of like all these shootings, like in Chicago on the South Side, all these bad things that are happening. And I'm like, this could have been a broadcast when I first moved to Naperville with you in like 1994. It's like the same shit is happening. And there's a lot of problems that we have in this country. There's always going to be problems. Like, we should try to fix those, and we should try and educate people to make things better. However, like, the short time I have like on this earth, like, I want to make my own. I think the best thing I can do is like not watch so much news. Like, I'll get it through the internet, like Apple News or whatever. Like, I'll get headlines, and if I choose to delve down those rabbit holes, I will. And and I want to be up to date on current events, but I really try to make my own little world, like block all that stuff out and understand, like, well, if I really look at my life day to day, it's pretty great. My wife's awesome. My kid's great. I have a nice family, a nice dog, able
Your dog is nice. You do got a
dog's
nice
awesome. So, but also too, like, the world is like crumbling. It's like, yes, it's not great, but like, what can I control? Because it becomes overwhelming when I watch so much news and ingest so much stuff. It's like, I only can control what I can control, and I can control myself. I can hopefully teach my son what it is to be a good person and what's important and how to treat other people. And that's really, really the only thing I can change, is like the future of this country, and donate to charity or whatever else. But for the most part, like, I really don't have a ton of control. So I just want to like create my own little world and be happy in that, because like, especially after the pandemic, life is short. And I would urge everyone to like be up on current events, but don't ingest so much of it, because it becomes really toxic, and focus on the things that are going well in your life and figure out, how to enjoy those and how to make those better, and be up to date on current events. But it's so easy to be poisoned and by toxicity of so much news and things that you can't control. It's good to be aware of them, but just take them a little bit at a time. And
don't make that your complete identity. You know what I mean? Where people are like, I'm an activist, and it's like, all right. But like you mentioned, John, the biggest thing you can do is raise the next generation of children to
That's honestly the only thing I feel like I can do, is like instill like what I like, all the change I want to see in the world that I feel like I have no control over. I'm going to pump it into that kid. And he's probably going to be so sick of me talking, but that's the only thing I can do. And then hopefully he's going to meet other people and say, hey man, like, that's not cool. Like, don't do that. You know what I mean? Like, it's just going to help. It's the only thing I feel like I can really do. And hopefully he continues to do that. And my grandfather did that to my dad. My dad did that to me. And we just try to keep it going and try to do that as much as we can. Because we all have to live in this country together, dude. Like, we're all have to live amongst each other. So as much as I have, disagreements with certain people vehemently, I very much disagree with them. Like, I have to spend time with these people. Some of them are family members, and some of them are old friends from college we have very different ideologies on things, but I don't want to hate them. I want to figure out how to coexist with them, and it's difficult, but I'm trying to do that. And it's important for my son too, to be like, hey, we're all together, like, we have to coexist with these people. So
I pride myself too in having different opinions from people and still being able to get along. Like, I have a buddy who constantly sends me articles around a certain subject that he knows I'm against or he's for, and it's just like he wants to argue, and it's like,
Yeah.
bro, you literally sent that to me just so we can start arguing. Why?
Yeah.
Why do you want to argue? You know, I don't like this. You like that. Why? Like, I still like, why are we trying to pick a fight right now? You know what I mean? And like you said, I think a lot of the problems do start in the home. If the home life was a little bit better and people raise kids to be contributing members to society and doing the right thing, they wouldn't grow up to be fucking shitheads or nut jobs or whatever. And I know
No.
there's external factors. I know it's not, all that, but that's a very good majority of is raising people and children to act the right way. I think that's not even the norm anymore. It's like, yeah.
No, I totally get it. It's a struggle now too. Just with the polarization of of the media, and the biggest concern I have too is, my family member brought this up, and and they were like, well, no one can have talk to anyone anymore, and I think the biggest reason is that there's not a common basis of facts,
Sure.
which is really scary. So like if you're talking politics, someone on the far left, someone on the far right, someone on the far left, or okay, if someone on the far left, someone on the far right is having a debate about the earth, okay, and the person on the left thinks it's flat and the person on the right thinks it's round, there can't be any debate because there needs to be an agreement on facts.
Sure.
And if you show some Republican something and they're like, oh, that's bullshit, that's not true, but like it is true, you know what I mean?
Right.
And you show a Democrat something and they're like, oh, it's bullshit, that's not true, but like it is true, like,
Yeah.
and they just don't believe it. Like,
Sure.
you can't, like, that's what worries me the most is there's not a common basis of facts. You can be like, oh, there's gravity, and someone's like, no, and you're like, okay, well then there's nothing else we can talk. And that's the biggest reason why I think there's so much friction and people are having disagreements, is because people can't even agree on what's true. Mm-hmm. And if you can't do that, you certainly can't have an intelligent debate about it with discourse, and you definitely will never have resolution. And so I try to, if I'm ever having a disagreement with a person, if I try to, before I even get into it, and I enjoy it. I enjoy the discourse. I obviously enjoy talking and sharing my opinion, clearly.
Yeah.
I try to check in first as far as like, well, what do you think is true? And if what they think is like clearly, like viably not true, I don't even engage, because I'm like, there's no point. I'm not even going to get into this. If you don't agree on that, then we can't talk about this subject. That's the nice thing about sports is it's win or lose. You know what I mean? It's a zero-sum game. This guy won, this guy lost. You have the stats, and the exciting part is to do the analysis. Why? Why did they lose? And the stakes are so low because it's sports. It matters to us, but in the grand scheme of things, it really doesn't matter. Politics, it definitely matters. So the stakes are super high, and so people get crazy. Which, and I enjoy talking about politics too, but it's hard, and within our current climate, it's very difficult to do. I wish we could talk politics on this show, and maybe we can and decide to at some point. I know it's on an agenda for the day, but if we ever did, and we may be on opposite ends of the aisle here, but hopefully we could do it in a way that would be respectful and have solid discourse and go that way.
Yeah, I'm all about that. Learning, listening, all that kind of stuff. But yeah, I just wanted to close out the show, obviously on not a political note. Maybe we'll get into that on another episode. But one thing, John, as the All-Star game approaching, trade deadline approaching, I saw one player sad. Willson Contreras. Willson Contreras is a very good catcher. Okay, he plays for the Chicago Cubs. Chicago Cubs are going nowhere. I have seen some players that will fit in at other places. Houston Astros. We got Martin Maldonado. He's hitting 155. He's hitting 149 at home. He's only got 7 home runs, 18 RBIs. That is the biggest glaring hole, I think, in the Astros lineup and in their depth chart at the catching position. Willson Contreras would be a huge addition to that. I don't think there has been a catcher traded at the trade deadline to a World Series competitor. I was watching something on the news today that they mentioned that, but I think Willson Contreras to the Astros makes a lot of sense, and I think that really pushes them over the top because right now that's the biggest glaring hole they have. Didn't know if you had any input on Willson Contreras to the Astros.
Well, okay, so I'm looking at the stars on the move. So one player, all 30 MLB teams should trade for or away ahead of the deadline. Okay. So if you're thinking Astros, if the Astros want to think big, the answer could be Willson Contreras or it could be Josh Bell. However, and I was delving into the Astros and how they feel about Martin Maldonado. Like, they don't give, they do. I fucking love him too. And they basically said, their front office, and they were very explicit about it. They're like, we don't give a shit what he does at the plate. The amount of value that he brings to an offense, or excuse me, to a pitching staff is immeasurable.
That's
and how well Verlander, Valdez, Garcia, Javier, Urquidy,
their rapport,
Will McCullers Jr., they're fucking incredible. And I was I was thinking about this too with Kyle Hendricks, who historically has not pitched well with Contreras behind the dish. But the last 2 starts, he's pitched to Yan Gomes and has felt in sync with the connection. And you've seen significant results. And there was brought up about Maldonado and how much value Maldonado brings to that pitching staff. Anything he does at the plate is gravy. They don't give a shit. So I don't know if they need him. I think the biggest thing and what they've been saying as far as the Astros is Andrew Chafin. They need a left-handed reliever because they're frankly lacking that in the bullpen. But I definitely think the Cubs will trade Willson Contreras. I don't think it's going to be the Astros. I really don't. I don't think they need him. I think there's a lot of other pieces to the puzzle that they'll need. I think they'll trade Willson. I don't think they'll give Happ. I do think they'll extend Happ. I don't know how much though. I feel like those could be cantankerous negotiations. Like, I feel like he's gonna, based off of how he's playing, he'll want a lot of money. But I don't think he's gonna. I think he'll be traded. I don't think it'll be the Astros. I think it'll be somewhere else.
Okay. Yeah, that was just something I saw today. I thought it made a lot of sense. I mean, and then they did mention like you said, the value that he brings to that pitching staff, the comfortability they have, the rapport, really means a lot behind the dish, not necessarily at the plate.
So a better spot for Contreras, the Mets. So sure. Mets catchers are hitting slash line 194, 241, 252 with just 2 home runs. They rank 7th in OPS and 11 in home runs. So they really do need another hitter. And also it'd be nice to have like a premier catcher with, Scherzer and DeGrom coming back. So I think the Mets would be a great spot for him since they really don't have a lot of pop behind the plate.
Yeah, with James McCann and Thomas Nido both just playing
right.
terribly.
They're primarily defensive catchers, so they really offer nothing. And so you think about, like, where do you need it most? Like the Astros, I think Maldonado's awesome, and I think they're getting everything they want out of Maldonado and more. He hit 2 bombs the other night. You know what I mean? Like, they don't care what he does at the plate. So I think the Mets would be a perfect spot for them.
Beautiful. Mets or Astros. Maybe we can revisit this and see who is correct. Maybe we're both wrong. But that's all I got for today, John. You got anything else for me?
That's it, man. Happy 4th of July, dude.
Happy 4th of July. We will be back next Tuesday. Next Tuesday, the 12th. We will do another show. And then that will be the week that I should be leaving for the All-Star game. So hopefully we can get some more content there. Yeah, so I'm very excited for that. Home Run Derby. Maybe we'll touch on Home Run Derby and All-Star Game stuff next episode.
Yes.
Talking about our favorites to win. Will Pete Alonso three-peat? Who else will be included? Maybe we'll get some news this week of others included. We should. And then we can touch on that.
Sounds good, buddy.
You guys, thank you for watching episode 55, July 5th of Lost in the Shuffle. Me and John will be back next Tuesday. John, thank you as always.
Later,
Bye.
baby.